Okay, so we're diving into Dharan, Nepal today,
Sounds good.
using snippets from a podcast called Nepal Unplug.
Right.
And I think this is going to be really interesting because Dharan, it seems,
Yeah,
is this city that really blends like the old and the new and nature
it does.
and all this other stuff. So I'm really excited to sort of dig into it.
Yeah, me too.
We've got a local business owner and a cultural enthusiast on this podcast,
Okay.
and I think they're going to give us a really great
Perspective.
perspective on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, Rajesh, who's the podcast host, describes Dharan as having a mix of everything, tradition, modernity, and nature.
I mean,
It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it's not just like a generic city, you know?
Right.
It sounds like it has a very unique feel to it.
Right, and he even said it has a unique warmth and energy.
Yeah.
So it's like the city itself has a personality, which is really
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, and there's they talk about ancient temples next to like
Right.
bustling cafes, so that's an interesting
Yeah, that's really cool.
juxtaposition.
Yeah, and then this woman, Anita, she's described as a cultural enthusiast,
Okay.
and she talks about the diversity of the people there.
Yeah, it seems like a very multicultural place.
Yeah.
She mentions specifically the Limbu and Rai communities.
Right.
And they have these festivals like Udhali and Ubhali,
Oh, wow.
and they're really connected to the agricultural cycle and
Yeah.
the seasons. So you can see how important like nature is to their culture.
Right.
And then, of course, they also mention the big Hindu festivals like Dashain and Tihar,
Right.
which are celebrated by a lot of the population there.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how Anita highlighted that there's a lot of respect between all these different cultures.
Right. It's not just tolerance.
Yeah.
It's like real appreciation.
Yeah.
For
It's
one
a bit of-
another.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and they even talked about times when like different communities will participate in each other's festivals. So like, Hindus joining in Udholi celebrations or Limbus and Rays taking part in Dashain.
That's awesome.
So it's very cool how all these different cultures kind of blend together.
Yeah, it makes this really vibrant
Yeah.
social fabric.
Yeah.
So I was reading that Dharan also has this interesting connection to the British Gurkhas.
Yes.
And, obviously it brought economic prosperity to the city.
Right.
But I'm curious, like, how else did it shape the city's identity?
Well, the Gurkha recruitment center that the British set up
Right.
obviously brought in, money and opportunities to Dharan.
Right.
But they also brought with them an interesting sport,
Okay.
football.
Oh, wow.
So
So the British passion for football kind of rubbed off on the locals?
totally, yeah. And now it's like
I mean,
huge in Dharan.
I read that Dharan has its own stadiums and hosts like major tournaments.
Yeah, it's way more than just a hobby there. It's
Yeah.
like really a part of the city's identity.
Right. It's like a source of pride.
Yeah.
I bet there's some pretty serious rivalries. I'm sure.
Between the different local teams too.
Oh, yeah, probably.
So, okay, so let's say we're planning a trip to Dharan.
Okay.
What are the must-see spots?
Well, Rajesh and Anita gave some pretty good suggestions.
Yeah.
If you're into spiritual stuff, you got to check out Budhasubba Temple.
Okay.
There's also Pindishwar and Dantakali temples,
Okay.
which kind of give you a more in-depth look at the local religious beliefs.
I see.
And if you're a nature lover,
Yeah.
you have to see Bhedetar.
Oh,
It has these amazing views.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And, of course, we have to talk about the food.
Oh, yeah. The street food.
Yes, the street
We're
food.
really raving about it.
They were both just gushing over
Yeah.
the momos and sel roti.
So momos are those like little dumplings, right?
Yes.
And what's sel roti?
It's this sweet, ring-shaped bread.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
They said it's a must-try.
Okay. Well, I'm adding it to the list.
Yeah.
But, even beyond the attractions and the food,
What do you think it is about Dharan that makes it so special?
well, Rajesh talked about the balance between tradition and modernity.
Right?
And Anita was really drawn to the warmth of the people.
Yeah.
So it seems like Dharan has this really unique mix of culture,
Right.
history, nature.
Brought together
like,
by this strong sense of community.
It's really amazing how just one little podcast episode can make you feel like you've been transported somewhere you've never even been before.
It really is.
Like you get a glimpse into the soul of a place.
Totally.
So I'm curious, like what resonates most with you about Dharan?
Mm.
Is it the festivals,
Yeah.
the Gurkha influence, or maybe that like passionate football culture?
Yeah, it's hard to choose just one thing.
Right. There's so many layers to uncover.
Yeah.
The history, the traditions, the stories.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll get to experience Dharan for ourselves.
I hope so. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was our deep dive into Dharan, Nepal.
Very cool place. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.